All right, here we go. Looking at the Shield. This is final chapter Shield. So we're looking at a time when they have all been world champions, and this is around the time that Dean Ambrose is making his way to leave and become John Moxley. Taking on one with here is much more related. I'll say I don't know classic Bloodlines, Bloodline Black and White. So here we are. We've got them all as champions. So let's get into this. Now, of course, I went with this version of the Shield. If you go with the first version of the Shield, it's gonna kind of be a massacre because you're taking on people who are very much at the top of their game. So I decided to go with the Shield more towards the end of their run. All right, strength advantage. I don't see anyone really going back and forth with this one. The strength uh, for the Shield was always Roman, but also Seth and Dean are no slouches at all. But if you compare where the bloodline is now, Roman is incredible with where he's at now, which is overall physical abilities. So he definitely eclipses almost every other member of the Shield during the final chapter time. And I would probably put the Usos a little bit close to, if not in about a similar level of where Dean and Seth are in terms of strength. But Roman just eclipses almost all of them. Speed. Roman's got quickness to him. Dean's got quickness to him. Bloodline Roman also has speed to him. Same with the Usos. What really sets this one apart is you have Seth. Seth has got an incredible amount of speed. So I definitely say Seth gives them the edge when it comes to speed. Endurance. Yeah, this is when the Shield was at the point where they were running tremendous amounts of long matches. Roman's not doing long matches at this time. Neither are the Usos. And Seth again with this, he's an hour long man. He is an absolute dynamo and a cardio beast. Same with Dean as well. And Roman at this time was also doing longer matches. Toughness. It's hard to bet against someone like Dean Ambrose / John Moxley when it comes to how much physical abuse his body can take. Same with Seth. Seth has worked through tremendous injuries. Same with Roman. All three of those guys were undeniable workhorses and just flat out Clydesdales. They could take a tremendous amount of just physical abuse and still keep on going. I definitely put them above what the Usos are able of doing. Striking. Man, Usos, you have so Bloodline gets super kicks, spears, Superman punches. And you also have on Shield, you have spears, you have Superman punches. You also have the rebound clothesline Dean Ambrose would do. You've got all of the different strikes you got from Seth Rollins. This is around a time when I believe we still have the stomp. So we just have a tremendous amount more striking moves, more ability there, and just more finishing. Grappling. Shield, still triple power bomb. Uh, Seth has got his Falcon Arrow. He was using the pedigree also around this time. Roman has the Samoan drops. Dean, when he wasn't doing his face crusher, had a really nice double underhook DDT. Definitely a lot more grappling moves. As well as triple power bomb, which is just an amazing finisher. I think that the Bloodline, plus they actually gelled better as an overall team. I would definitely end up giving them an advantage when it comes to just grappling moves in general. But again, you're looking at three main event caliber guys coming together versus the Bloodline, where you had one guy who was a true, undeniable WrestleMania level main eventer. Jay, by this time, had really come into his own. Not to the level he's at now, but he was definitely making that crest to get there. And, Jimmy, while not being a slouch, looking at these six guys, he's up on the lower end. Which, I mean, not it's okay to be like, oh, out of these six guys, I'm not the most I'm not the most gifted in the ring when four, well, actually, I guess three are undeniable top tiers regardless of company that they're in. Submission. By this time, Roman's using the guillotine. So you definitely have that advantage there with a nice, strong submission finisher. Really didn't see that much in the way of submission holds from the Shield in almost any iteration. They didn't need those sort of moves. High flying. Seth and Dean leave their feet a lot. All of Dean's high flying moves, he's a brawler type, so he's supposed to look ugly, but doesn't have to get the edge to that when it comes to the bloodline. Usos, lots of splashes, good dives, much more skilled at leaving their feet than the combination of Dean Ambrose and Seth. Seth, amazing high flyer, tremendous amount of skill with that. But if I'm looking at two people who are good high flyers versus one team that's got a tremendous high flyer and a decent high flyer, I will definitely give the edge to the bloodline. Oof. Yeah, I'll go to the next one. We'll go with mic work. Seth, good on the mic. Roman wasn't getting there, and Dean was always good. I have to give this one to the bloodline. Roman had become incredible around this time. He had fully understood and embraced what his character is, what he's supposed to do. Same with Jimmy and Jay. They did a great job falling in the spot they needed to fall into. And the stuff they were able to do without there being the physicality in the ring, just using the stick to get the crowd invested, was incredible. Also to get to ring psychology. If you go back and watch uh, the battles between Roman and Jay with Jimmy getting involved, there is some fantastic work with this. Roman, I would say right now, is probably very much in the top tier when it comes to ring psychology. He knows how to sell, when to sell, when to cut off the comeback. If you go back and watch the match he had with Cody when he was Crossroads, and he goes, "Man, that move sucks. You can't beat anybody with that." Those are the moments. It's the spots in between the moves that really separate the good professional wrestlers from the incredible main event level professional wrestlers. And Roman has undeniably just killed it with that. You can tell that he had Paul Heyman in his ear helping him fully craft everything in between the moves to make that tremendous symphony that we know as professional wrestling. Over with the crowd. We're tied at 5 apiece. I'm going to give it to the Shield. And if you want to know how impressive and how important the Shield is, remember that WrestleMania match when the Shield music hit and the crowd exploded and Seth came down to the ring. The Shield, during a time when everything was okay, it wasn't anywhere near where it is now. It wasn't as bad as it had ever been, but the Shield, you knew you were getting a good match. And when that group broke up, you got some solid feuds, and you got 3 main event caliber guys, which is a true anomaly to take 3 relatively unknowns from a mainstream wrestling perspective and make each of them main event guys. Make each of them someone who can close out a show. Make each of them guys who you can put the title on and no one goes, I don't believe them. You've got Seth Rollins, multiple time main eventer. You've got Roman Reigns, who's had more WrestleMania main events than anybody else. Here we are at the time when they're hitting their really solid strides. They're hitting that main event. This is when all the money comes in run. And only Dean Ambrose was good in the Shield, and that allowed him to take that and catapult himself back to John Moxley and just take over a whole other company, other companies in general. So I think it's hard to look back at the Shield in almost any iteration and not view them as undeniable top tier talents. Unless, of course, you're taking a group of entirely fully pre-established wrestlers and putting them together as a group. So I think if you had the final incarnation of the Shield take on this version of the Bloodline, I think the Shield takes it. As always, there's the comment section to disagree with me and call me an idiot.